Good day everyone, my name is Kenneth Gemina. For today's video, I will show my reflection about Rizal life in my subject in history. I will show my reflection about in prelim, midterm, and final. So this is my reflection in prelim cluster 3. Umalis si Rizal sa Roma sakay ng train patungong Marseilles. Isang daungan ng Pransya at ang mga plano ni Rizal sa pag-uwi noong unang bahagi ng 1884. Nais ni Rizal na bumalik sa Pilipinas sa mga sumusunod na kadahilanan, kahirapang pinansyal sa Kalamba, kawalang kasiyahan sa kanyang pag-aaral sa Madrid. Pag nanais ni Rizal na patunayan na walang dahilan upang matakot umuwi, ang kanyang paniniwala na hindi paparusahan ng mga rehimong Espanyol ang inosenteng desisyon na umuwi pagkatapos ng 5 taon ng kanyang hindi malilimutang pamamalagi sa Europa. Bumalik si Rizal sa Pilipinas, gayunpaman binalaan si Rizal ng mga sumusunod na huwag nang bumalik sa Pilipinas. Dahil ang kanyang sinulat na No Limitang Hiri ay ikinagalit ng mga praile o mga Espanyol. Desidido si Rizal na bumalik sa Pilipinas dahil sa mga sumusunod na dahilan upang maoperahan ang mata ng kanyang ina. Si Rizal ay nag-aral sa ibang bansa ng doktor, ganun, upang pagsilbihan ang kanyang bayan ng matagal na inaapi ng mga malupit na Espanyol. Sinakop tayo ng mga Espanyol. Upang alamin sa kanyang sarili kung paano nasulat ng No Limitang Hiri at ang ibang panyang sinusulat. Nakakaapi ko to sa mga Pilipino at Kastila upang magtanong kung bakit nanatiling tahimik si Leonor Rivera. Sumakay si Gemina, ang parehong pabor na nagdala sa kanya sa Europa. 5 taon nang nakalipas. So sa May 50. Pasahero 4 Englishman, 2 Germans, 3 Chinese, 2 Japanese, 40 Frenchmen, at isang Filipino at yun si Rizal, yun ang nakasakay sa train. Nang nakarating ang barko sa Adin, naging maalinya na sa ang panahon at nabasa ang ilang libro ni Rizal sa Saigon, Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam at lumipat siya sa isang pang pabor buong na nagdala sa kanya sa Manila. Ang papel na ito, pagkatapos ng kanyang unang nobela, ay nagpatuloy si Rizal sa pagsulat ng isang nobela na siya ang pangalawang nobela na pinamagataang El Filibusterismo, na kilala rin sa pamagat na The Reign of Greed. Sa kanyang ikalawang nobela ay tumatalakay sa ilang isyu mula sa nakaraang nobela na nagpatuloy sa No Limitang Hiri. Sa mga pag-aabuso at katiwalian na ginawa ng pamahalaang Espanyol, yung ginawa sa atin na pag-abuso ng mga Espanyol. Isunulat at inialay ni Rizal ang nabanggit sa nobela para sa ating bansa, particular sa 3 martir na praile na sina Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos at Jacinto Zamora. Sila yung mga praile nga pagkuan. Sila ay biktima ng kawalang katurungan at karahasan sa ilalim ng pamahalaan ng mga Espanyol. Ang pangunahing dahilan ng El Filibusterismo na nagbibigay ng liwanag sa lipunan ay nasa paglapit sa mga Pilipino sa katotohanan. Ngunit kung sa unang nobela, hinikayat tayong humiling at maghangad ng pagbabago at paglaya. Gusto natin magkaroon ng freedom. Ganun. Sa nobelang ito, nakihumok ang lipunan na buksan ng mga mata, realidad at paghihimagsik laban sa pamahalang Espanyol. Sa No Limit ang Hiri, merong merong hadikain, kagandahan at romansa at awa sa il filibusterismo, pait, puot, ang sintipatya, ang mararamdaman ng mambabasa. Wala na ang pagmamahalan, hadikain, mga personalidad ng mga karakter ay tila sumasailalim na sa radikal na pagbabago. Ganito ang pagkakaiba ng ikalawang nobela ni Rizal. Isinaalang-alang na pareho kaming isinulat mula ng parehong may akda na si Rizal. Ang mga plot ay magkahiwalay o magkahiwalay. Dumating si Rizal sa Hong Kong noong Nobyembre 20, 1891. Siya ay tinanggap ni Rizal mabasa ang kaniyang tirahan sa number 5 The Aguilar Street, number 2 Prada Redaxula Terrace. At ito rin ang lugar kung saan siya nagbukas ng kanyang medical clinic noong Disyembre 1, 1891. Sumulat siya sa kanyang mga magulang na humingi ng kanyang pahintulot na makauwi sa parehong pitsa. Nagpadala si Manuel Hidalgo ng liham ng magsasabi ng malungkot na balita sa Kalamba. Nasulyapan siya sa pagdating ng kanyang ama at kapatid. At si Silvestre Albado, bayaw ni Rizal, ay bayaw sa bayaw, at hindi nagtagal ay dumating din ang kanyang ina at mga kapatid na sina Lucia, Josefa at Trinidad ngayong Pasko sa Hong Kong. Ang isa pinaka masayang pagdiriwang sa buhay ni Rizal. Sumulat siya ng liham kay Blumentritt na nagsasabing narito tayong lahat ay namumuhay ng sama-sama ang aking mga magulang, mga kapatid na babae at kapatid sa kapayapaan at malayo sa mga pag-uusig ng kanilang dinanas sa Pilipinas. Lubos silang nalulugod sa pamahalaang English. What's up guys? This is my midterm reflection about essence of Rizal religious belief. Based on the letter Dr. Rizal wrote, it can be said that his concept of God could be summarized into three nations. First, he believed that God exists. Second, he believed that God was plus supra. Lastly, he believed that God was the origin of nature. That is, nature was the expression of God. As regards the first nation, Dr. Rizal made explicit that he believed that God exists. He was convinced that a supernatural power behind all of creation had to exist. He say for Padre Pastels, we are entirely in accord in admitting the existence of God. How can I doubt it when I am convinced of my own existence? Who recognized the effect, recognized the cause? It was clear that Dr. Jose Rizal subscribed to the idea of necessary contingent being, where the contingent being needed of other being for it to exist, while the necessary being exists on its own. As such, a necessary being becomes the origin of contingent beings. This necessary being has been labeled by many as God. Dr. Jose Rizal considered himself as a contingent being that needed other being to sustain his existence, such as being included the origin of all the necessary being of God. He accept that he was a part of the whole creation. Kung naniwala siya na isa siya sa mga ginawa ng ating Panginoon, he could not deny himself. Hence, he could not deny creation. As such, he could not deny God. Hindi niya may pagtatanggi na may Diyos. Ganun. As regard as regards the Zican nation, Dr. Rizal argued that God was not like the God of Catholics. As he God was far above such things, he says that Padre Pastils in the conviction that I find myself before the supreme problem which confuse voice desire to explain to me I cannot but answer that may be so, but the God that I surprise that it's such greater, much better plus sopra. He thought that requirement that the godliness of God was his being above all things, which mean his being incomprehensible. Dr. Rizal was clearly not convinced that sufficient understanding of God that was powerful and metaphysical as the supreme being could be contained in the consciousness of little mortals who have no capacity to understand beyond the what was in the word of Nietzsche divine. Though them mortals who were so limited could not have possibility that come a limitless being. As such, Dr. Rizal articulate that the one only genuine faith was the blind faith is in short the more people trying to explain to him what and who God was, the more he got convinced that they did not know what they were thinking about. What Dr. Rizal meant by blind faith was since it was impossible to comprehend God as he was plus sopra. He could have only hang his belief on that fact that God was God. As such, he did not deny nor he did not accept the religious explanation of mortals around him. Blind faith was more of this disposition of philosophy that of religion. It was a disposition where one did not accept and deny this faith having a personal conviction. As regards the third nation, Dr. Rizal believed that if one was the if one was to understand God, he was going to do well to note the books which others claim were tools of revelation were not reliable. The reason was book were to remove from actual reality as these were written by people, interpreted by others, rewriting by people obscure by other, etc. The best way to have an idea of God was through connecting with Him personally, directly, and physically through His extensions. These extensions were nature. Dr. Rizal says to Father Pastel, I believe in revelation, yes, but in that living revelation of nature which surrounds us everywhere, in that potent voice, internal, in ancient, incorruptible, clear, distinct, universal, like the being from which organic taste in the revelation which speak to us and penetrates us for the moment we are born until we die. What books can reveal to us better the godness of God. His love, His providence, His eternity, His glory, His wisdom. Clearly, Dr. Rizal, philosophico-religious view on God was well reflected on it was product of competent resignation by on Indio, who the Spaniards then undermined. He did not content himself with teaching. He grew up with a student of Catholic institution, explored, rationalized, and argued. He asked questions about faith and the fundamental techniques of the church. He was, however, careful not to offend the religious sensibilities of his countrymen to him. Rationation was simply a gift from God to not use it would thus have been offensive to the giver. That is my reflection in midterm about essentials religious belief. So what's up guys? This is my reflection in finals. The topic is Filipinas dentro siya anyos. In the one of the most important political writings of the Spanish Revolution, Rizal analyzed the factors that lead to the Filipinos awakening, and as a result the birth of the Filipino spirit of the country. He stressed the significance of developing a new type of political relationship between Spain and the Philippines. If the former does not want to entirely break up unless Spain reforms, it risks losing the independence in an essay titled that Pilipinas a country ago. Dr. Rizal attempt to predict the Philippines future. The first of Rizal forecast for the Philippines future development was that I would remain a Spanish colony for the next country. Rizal almost be, ay, Rizal almost begs for reform in the Spanish colonial and administration in this paper correctly predicting that if Spain did not undertake reforms, the Americans would conquer the country in his most present easy. Filipinas dentro de Jin Anyos writing in 1889, he predict that Spain and Philippines would eventually become equal, independent partners in geopolitics, and that after appropriating the Philippines for himself, the United States would emerge as neo-colonial power in Asia. That is my reflection in Filipinas dentro siya ng news.